Big Slow 17 wants to know, what do each of the ratings in Madden NFL 13 affect? And we're going to jump over on the Xbox here and take a look. Quick shameless plug here on Xbox.
Shameless, I love it.
If you're in the Xbox area here, you can see the Prima Pro tips right on the main page, right next to the Play Online. So if you want to use that, you can definitely go in and just watch the video. I give you some quick 5 tips to get better overnight in Madden NFL 13.
ZFarls.
A nice little starter tip for some guys who maybe are new to the game, got to pound that rock, all those different things. So
feel good being in the game? What does that feel like?
It's not terrible. It's not terrible. But here we go. So let's jump into the ratings in Madden NFL 13. We're going to start with manage players. We're going to tell you what each rating in Madden NFL 13 means. What I'd like to do here is go over to all and Gibbs. Obviously, the first rating is overall. Tell me a little bit about it.
So overall, it's this snapshot of what you're going to get from a player. So if you don't want to get in the nit and gritty and you don't want to spend 5 hours dissecting your team, and you want to just see what that player represents, how effective they are in the game, you look at that overall. It's going to give you a snapshot, quick idea of how effective this guy is from a rating of 0 to 100. So obviously you have a 99 like Revis. That means he's a stud in the game.
All right, so let's go full screen on Xbox. We have the speed category for Darrelle Revis, a 93 overall. Speed is basically going to give you just how fast they run. This is pretty basic. You know, these first couple of categories are pretty obvious.
Kind of like the Pythagorean theorem, just point A to point B.
How fast can they go? Strength. How strong are they? Gibbs, what's somebody who has good strength? What position do they play and what can they do for you?
So strength I care a lot about on the defensive line as well as the offensive line. And the way I've always interpreted strength, Farls, is how long a player can hold a block, or how far they can push a player upfield. So if you have an offensive lineman, if they have high strength, they're going to be able to get that push to move the defensive lineman out of the way for your running back, and vice versa. If the defensive lineman is stronger, the offensive lineman won't get that push upfield.
Agility is how fast you cut. So how sharp are your cuts? Darren Sproles, the guy with elite agility. Sometimes you'll see a guy with super fast speed but low agility and can't quite cut as good as he needs to be. Along with that goes acceleration. So top-end speed is one thing, but being able to cut and then accelerate how fast you can get going. You see this with quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Acceleration, how fast can Michael Vick get going to his top speed is a key there.
Very important to have good acceleration.
What do you think about awareness?
Awareness is how smart a player is and what they recognize around them, the players in their circumstance around them. How do they interact with other zones that are on the field? How do they interact with a player that's in their area? So the higher your awareness, the higher that player is going to the better that player is going to be in those situations.
And huge for the computer game. We talk a lot about finding guys with low awareness but big physical attributes and kind of using that guy and taking him along.
So who's a guy like London Fletcher?
Guys that have been around the league for a long time, whereas rookies are going to still be building it up. Some of these are obvious, but we're going to get into some tough ones here coming up in a bit. These are all our opinion. These are just things we've thought from years of playing the game. What exactly do we see when we play this game? Trucking rating. Trucking rating is for pretty much running backs only and fullbacks. And elusive. Those go hand in hand. Trucking and elusive. You either have one trucking rating or one elusive rating. Elusive rating goes to wide receivers quite a bit.
Yep.
And you've seen elusive rating when your player kind of goes to get tackled and slips off to the side. You see it with guys like Victor Cruz. I see it all the time. Trucking rating is a guy like Brandon Jacobs. You're going to want to use that right stick forward and be able to bowl over defenders to break tackles. So this is how you break tackles as a running back. It just depends on what style of runner you are.
Right. And it's most important, you got to understand that we personally believe that only one of those animations is going to play out. So if you have
Arian Foster.
So if you had a guy like Arian Foster, he's going to get that trucking animation over that elusiveness. I mean, that's according to our studies that we've done. That's what we found. So take a look at that and understand what that means.
All right. Ball carrier vision is big for, I believe, the computer. When you're actually controlling the ball carrier, I believe that your ball carrier vision, this is what I think, your ball carrier vision is going to take over. But when the computer's running with the ball, how good are they at finding the hole is what's going to happen. Stiff arm, obviously, if you hold A on Xbox when you run through the hole, or X on Xbox, you'll get the stiff arm out. Probably ability to break tackles there with that. Spin move, I believe it could be either how often the computer spins as this player or how tight your spin move is.
I think it works both. I think for a computer it's going to be how often they spin, as well as for a user you're going to get a lot tighter spin moves.
All right, juke move, same thing. If you first of all, sometimes when you juke, you'll actually fake out the defender, so that's pretty big. But also how sharp your juke is. A guy like Darren Sproles who has that juke ability, it goes along with agility, acceleration, how much you can dance, if you can make a one-hole cut. I saw them talking about it with a running back. Bradshaw he's almost like skiing down moguls, how he hops left to right. Carry rating is how often you're going to put the ball on the deck. Ben Jarvis Green Elvis
hasn't fumbled.
He actually fumbled last week.
Really?
First career fumble in the NFL. Belichick must have cut him for a reason,
That's
right?
why I cut him.
So Ben Jarvis Green Ellis here, definitely a guy who's not going to put the ball on the deck. Get these guys in the game late, and they will not let you down. Catching. What's this key to this catching rating?
The key to catching here, guys, is the catch rating is when there's no one around your opponent. So that's like, so say if you're just on a curl, there's no one near him, and he just catches the ball. If he has high catch, that's fine. What we care about is the catch rating that's going to be coming down the road here, catching traffic. So catching is just if you have no one in the area, there's no one going to be making contact with your receiver.
Correct. So route running is how tight of a route they run. Do they, when they run that out, is it real sharp at the top, a great break, a nice angle, or is it kind of sloppy, more rounded? You can kind of see that these top guys are going to get open more often.
They definitely get more open with the higher route running.
Create more separation.
Yeah, like ins and outs and slants.
Catch in traffic, similar to catch usually, but definitely how much punishment they can take over the middle of the field. Welker's known for that slot receiver role. Colston's a big guy, go up in traffic and make the catch.
Absolutely. That catch in traffic to me
Love
is
this rating for wide receivers and tight ends, especially, if you're deciding between, do I want this guy at the number 2 or at the number 3, are you going to be playing him in the middle? Are you going to play on the outside? Think about your scheme and go through this rating and look. We're still on the offensive side of the ball here. Spec catch is something I want to talk about. Madden 08, it was huge, but I believe personally that this will make a guy play a little taller. Brandon Lloyd plays like he's 6'5" if you've played with him in this game. Same thing, Larry Fitz, only 6'3". But the spec catch, 98, they get nicer animations. They play a little bit bigger. They're known to make some great catches.
They get great animation. That's the point with the spec catch.
It really never hurts you to have a guy who has good spec catch.
Absolutely not.
All right, releases, how well these receivers get off the press.
It's pretty self-explanatory, guys. If you have an elite receiver that can get off the line of scrimmage when your opponent calls press coverage, it's huge for your team, and that's what this rating stands for.
Same thing with the jump, pretty self-standard here. How high and how, you going up and you getting balls or not? You're 6'5", you have great jump. Same thing Lloyd, but he's only 6 feet. All right, throw power. All has to do with the quarterback position. Obviously, we have throw power, which is how far they throw, how fast they throw it, how hard they throw it. Throw accuracy is kind of a general mix, I believe, of these three. And short and medium, okay, obviously you have a certain range, short, and then the medium. Deep accuracy is what I really care about when I go in and I'm looking at my depth chart. What is their deep accuracy rating? How important is it?
Most important rating for offense, I think.
It's huge. It's very huge. Throw on the run, how good do you get the ball out? You see some scramblers with some good stuff. Play action, how good can you sell your fake? Is the defense going to react to it? Then we get into the defensive ratings, which we'll come back to later in the show and talk about the defensive ratings. But Gibbs has some nice secrets here for the defensive side of the ball, and we want to make sure that we don't let you guys down. So we're going to come back here. We're also going to talk a little bit later about the interview. We talked with Donnie Moore to get his top 5 NFL 13. We want to make sure we show you what he thinks important, and he is the rating czar. Let's jump right into the ratings real quick on the on PlayStation here. We'll run you through the defensive side of the ball real quick.
Absolutely. What
ratings factor in Madden NFL 13?
Depth chart.
How can you make your defense as good as it can be? So one thing we like to do here is on defense, we start at the defensive end position, obviously. Giants are a great example, whereas the Niners have more strength at defensive end.
Right.
We're always going to want speed at defensive end. So we want to put Aldon Smith down at defensive end so he gets that rushing ability with our scheme. It's our style. The Giants already have it, of course. But we're going to sub those guys in there in the key ratings as we look at on defense. So we ended our last segment here when we got to
the
quarterback area.
We got play action.
So hit power is how much ability you have to hit stick.
Think fumbles.
We see guys, we see defensive tackles, we see the big hitting linebackers in the safety region, specifically strong safeties, guys that are going to force fumbles. Power move and finesse move has to deal with the D-line. Think about it like blocking and trucking. Just depends what you're going to get. Block shed is Gibbs' most important thing. If you ever decide between two guys on your D-line, go with the higher block shed if it's close.
I also really value pursuit. So pursuit is going to be the angle at which that defender goes after the ball carrier, and that's really important.
So what happens with high block shed?
So high block shed, though, Farls, you're going to see that defenders defenders literally get off a block better. So say you send a blitz after your opponent and he gets in free, and then you have a halfback in blocking. So if you have a guy with great block shed, you're going to see him kind of run over him, or he'll jump over him, or he'll move him out of the way. That's because he's got great block shed, and that's going to allow him to get to the quarterback. What's also really great is if your opponent is running the ball and they're running between the tackles, you're going to see a lot of times when you see guys like Vince Wilfork, you see Nata on the Ravens, Justin Smith, all these guys are going to shed a block real quick on the offensive line, and they're going to take down your ball carrier. If you ever had it happen to you, it's the worst feeling in the world when you get taken down in the backfield, and that's because of the block shed rating. It's really, really important.
All right, man coverage and zone coverage is big in the secondary.
Yep.
It's something you're going to want to have on your team, just something to take a look at. You can kind of decide what scheme is going to fit my team best. Which player should I use in the slot or on the outside? I like to use the guys who have higher press as how long they're going to bump and run for, how good they're going to fight their man,
right,
or if they're going to completely whiff and let them go. I like to get my two best guys with press there. I like to get, and then just my man coverage guys in the game depending on their speed. Same thing with zone is similar to that. Next up is all the linemen. Run blocking strength, I believe, is how much push they're going to get. How long are they going to hold that guy for when they're engaging? Like we said, they get to the second level, they grab on to that defender and really push him upfield.
Right, absolutely, and that's going to be the same thing for the pass block strength. It's the strength category for offensive linemen. It's select how strong are they in passing situations. The footwork is going to be how quickly they can interact on the offensive line with slides and things like that. Impact block. If you ever seen a pancake block, if you ever seen a guy he comes in and just blows the guy out on the defensive side of the ball, that's where you get an impact block. That's where it's key. Kick power. I mean, Sebastian Janikowski's got the best
kick
boot in
power,
the leg.
how far they can kick. Always put the meter down and max it out.
Here's a quick tip: 64 yards, longest field goal in the game.
Is with a guy with 99 kick power all the way down. It's as far as you can hit. Kick accuracy is how, if there's variation on whether or not you're hitting it to the right or to the left, you want the higher the better. But really, power is my most important thing. Stamina, how quick they get tired, of course, and injury, just how fast they'll go out. Percentage chance to get injured. All our opinions here on these ratings here on This Week in Madden. But
for over 18 years experience,
just want to share it, and just theories we put together. Who knows? Probably crazy, but it's a fun thing to do. And ratings, obviously, we spend so much time talking about them. It's great to know what do they do in Madden. We wrote this boy. Also, want to take a quick thing. Donnie Moore, the ratings are. He chatted with us about his top 5 ratings in the game, and it's an article we were able to get into the guide from the developer section. Just cool little thing to pick the brain of the guy who sets the ratings, and what he thinks is important. And we'll post that article next week on MaddenTips.com.
Once you find it,
along with this tip. So it's 362 pages.
It's pretty hard to find.
So it's a lot of beef in there.
Good amount of stuff
figure out where
going
it's coming
on
from. So.